Hi everyone, I'm excited to showcase another flow that I've created with FluxPrompt. And just before we get started, as a reminder, what I'm doing here is I'm showcasing flows that I use on a regular basis that you could create in minutes and that will help you work smarter and faster. I'm not going to go into the details of how all of the features work. There are other videos for that. This is to just give you a fun imagination of all of the things that you can build with our cool tool. Okay, so the flow that I am showing you today is called the Flowinator. Super ridiculous name for this, but it's my flow and I get to call it whatever I want. The Flowinator, what it does is it basically allows me, I'll give you a high overview of this flow real quick. It allows me to write a prompt and then feed that prompt into each one of the best LLMs out there. So as you can see here, we've got GPT-4o, Google Gemini, Perplexity, Anthropic, Llama, and Mixtral. And then on the right side here, it accumulates all of those responses and puts them into an easier way to read for me. Okay, let's dive into the details here. What I did here is I dragged out a text box, and in this text box, that's where I type in my prompt. And for example, here, the prompt we said, we just recently launched our beta product. Can you give me some ideas of, let's change this from TikTok videos to, let's go with LinkedIn posts that I could share with my network to tell them about the product we built. Just give me a title of the action, no need to explain. This simplifies the responses from the LLM instead of giving me like full paragraphs of everything. The other thing that I did is, now I could have just taken this content, this copy, and just plugged it in or connected it to every single one of these nodes. Then let me explain why I didn't do that. What I did instead is I dragged out another text box and I ran it through here. And the reason is because sometimes my prompt is general and it doesn't need more context. It's just a simple, easy question that I am curious about. Sometimes it does need more context, and because it's specific to the company that I work at, right? So in those cases, if it's a general question, I just disconnect this node right here that I'll talk about in a second. But if it's a specific question to FluxPrompt, then what I do is I connect it here. This node right here, you can find this. It is an object caller. And I'm not going to talk about the details here, but I can do that in a different video. But an object allows you to store text or content that you want to use on a regular basis in your flows. So for example, here I have a FluxPrompt brand. This is a short description of what FluxPrompt does or what it is, right? So if it's this prompt is particular to the FluxPrompt brand or company, then I just connect it in here and then it updates it everywhere else. Okay, great. So I'm going to run this flow. When you run a flow, you'll notice that each one of these nodes runs one after the other. And the way each one of these nodes can run individually. If you just press this button, it'll run all of the context in here and run it through the system and give you an output. But if you want to do a cool workflow that's automatic, then you take the flow global node and you connect it to the first node that you want to run as part of this flow. And then what you do is you take this over here, this line, and connect it over to the next node that you want to run. So as you can see, this is the first node, this is the second node, third, fourth, fifth, etc. Okay, great. So I think it's getting there. So it's ran through all of these, and now it's summarizing. Now let's talk about what I did here. What I did is I dragged out an output box, okay? And this output box is pretty cool because what it allows me to do is allows me to view every one of the responses from each LLM in its entirety, right? So if I'm curious about details, then I can come here. The other cool thing that this node does is it allows me to download it in whatever format I want, if I wanted to do that. Now, I don't want to read through all of these because there's going to be many times where the LLMs repeat themselves. So in this case, what I've done is I've asked AI to just give me a comprehensive list of all of the responses and to get rid of the common one, or the ones that were duplicates. Okay, and so as you can see, it just gives me a long list of things, right? All right, the last step, I added this recently. One of the last times that I ran this, I think it was last week. One of the questions that I had was, I was curious to see which responses were common among all of the LLMs, and then which ones were unique. So I created this next step here. And as you can see, it says, okay, here are the common responses, and then here are some of the unique ones that you get from each one of these different LLMs. Great. So anyway, I love this flow. I use it all of the time. It gives me lots and lots more ideas. It's great for brainstorming. It has the power of so many different LLMs that do things differently, but I put them all together in one, and it takes seconds to run. So hopefully, if you're curious, if you want this flow, just send me a note and I will share it with you, because I'd love for you to have it. Until next time.